Today we're going to be talking about the M1 MacBook Air from a student's perspective, and we're going to go over a few things like the design, battery life, performance, all the necessities, so you can determine whether this MacBook is right for you. Spoiler alert, it's for you. Alright, let's start by getting some of the basic things out of the way, like the design. The design of this MacBook is the exact same as the last couple years, which in my opinion is not a bad thing whatsoever, because I think it's one of the most beautifully designed laptops on the market currently. It comes with two USB-C ports, which some people might say is not enough, but you know, if you're gonna get one of these things right here, a dongle, an adapter, you'll be perfectly fine. The main thing is the keyboard. I think the keyboard on this is spectacular. So if you didn't know, Apple has had a few problems in the past from about 2016 to 2019. They had problems with their keyboards where they were breaking and things would get inside of them, and it was just a huge issue. But they've since revamped it, and now the keyboards are absolutely amazing. Very, very little issues, if any, on these new keyboards, and in my opinion, it's probably the best typing experience on a keyboard that you can get, especially on a laptop. Alright, let's talk about some of the more useful stuff, and the first thing I want to talk about is battery life, because you already know students were out on campus all day, well, depending on your COVID situation, I guess, but some people are out on campus all day, or some people are sat in coffee shops and whatnot, so battery life is really important when it comes to a student. Cutting right to the chase, this is the best battery life you're going to get on almost any laptop out there, other than Apple's other higher-end laptops. Even then, because their higher-end laptops have higher-end processors, sometimes the battery life still isn't even as good as this MacBook Air. If you're just doing light tasks like every other student, which is basically browsing the internet for research or writing in Word documents or Google Docs, this thing is going to last you forever. On a full charge, I'd say I'd easily get around 7 hours of battery life, probably 7 to 10 hours, depending on how many tabs I have open, if I'm using Google Chrome or if I'm using Safari or whatever, but either way, still an incredible battery life. I like doing most of my schoolwork at a coffee shop, and the insane thing is when I had my MacBook Pro, I wouldn't dare leave home without the charger, but with this thing, if it's at 100% battery, I don't even bother bringing the charger. Depending on how much work I have to do and how long I'm going to stay there, even at 50% charge, I've brought the laptop with no charger and had no problems for probably 3 hours or so until it got down to around 20%. Overall, if there's only one reason that I could give as to why somebody should buy this laptop, it's absolutely the battery life. It's completely changed the way I use my laptop, and that's zero exaggeration. All right, let's talk about portability for a quick second. This thing is so thin and so light, it's honestly ridiculous. So this is a 13-inch laptop, but for a 13-inch laptop, it weighs so little that, to be honest, I'd put it in my bag sometimes and start walking around, and I would check to see if the laptop is still in my bag, because some of my textbooks would be heavier than the laptop itself, and I'd forget, maybe like I'd wonder if I'd forgotten it at the coffee shop or at home, because it was that light in my bag. If you're looking for something that's going to give you crazy power, long battery life, and be super portable, this is definitely it. Speaking of power, let's talk about the speed of this laptop. So if you don't already know what an M1 chip is, basically it's a new type of processor that Apple has implemented into most of their products at this point. Before this, Apple was using the same processor as every other laptop manufacturer on the market. Now Apple's made their own proprietary chip, which is the M1 chip, which is inside of this device, and it is leaps and bounds above the Intel chips. I can tell you that even this baseline M1 MacBook Air that I have with 8 GB of RAM and 256 GB of storage will beat out almost any other PC laptop on the market in terms of speed. Just for another point of comparison with my old 2017 MacBook Pro, which, like I say, was supposed to be a pro device, that thing, as soon as I loaded up any sort of serious project like a video I was editing or photos I was editing, the fans would turn on instantly. Within 5 minutes, it would become hot to the touch, and it would start slowing down within about 15 minutes of me trying to do anything. Over the next couple years of using it, it got to the point where even loading up normal things like a Word document and watching some Netflix was starting to create problems, and it would actually heat up at times. So when I bought the MacBook Air with the M1 chip inside, I knew it would be much faster, but I just didn't know how much faster. I almost got a separate machine just for editing my videos, and I thought the MacBook Air would only be good for schoolwork, but I was completely wrong. I decided to just try out editing a 4K video on the thing because I'd heard it was so fast, and it did insanely well. There's no fan in this thing, so there is no loud noise. It didn't even get hot to the touch, maybe just a tad warm. But once again, I was in the editor for probably over 2 hours straight, editing 45 minutes worth of 4K footage. And then on top of that, I exported a 12-minute video in 4K, and it did so within about 8.5 minutes and barely even got warm. Once again, this is not a high-spec laptop. This is the absolute baseline MacBook Air that you can buy. So if that doesn't tell you how fast and capable this machine is, I don't know what will. Either way, what I'm trying to say is that for the average student who just writes papers, does a little bit of research on the internet, and then watches Netflix at the end of the day, this thing is going to blow you away. It's going to be incredibly fast, and because you're not using so much power, it's going to last you a long time. So even though we've kind of already answered the question whether or not a student should buy this, I think we should ask again, should a student buy this laptop specifically? And I think it depends. I want to say 100% yes, but there is one caveat. I think before you buy this, you need to define what schoolwork is for you. If you're like 90% of other students who are basically just typing Word documents, watching Netflix, and maybe researching on the internet, I think this is 100% the best value laptop you can get. For the price, portability, and speed, I think you should 100% buy this. But if you're a student who does graphic design and film studies, all that kind of stuff, and you're editing all the time on your laptop with the Adobe Creative Suite or in Final Cut, I think you should look to the MacBook Pros. This is still a very capable machine, and if you're not doing it on a daily basis, if you are editing photos and videos kind of just randomly or for fun on your own time, this thing is actually still powerful enough that you could totally do that. Although it's not the cheapest laptop, I think it is worth every penny that you pay for it because the design is beautiful, the longevity of this laptop is going to be great. I also think that the battery life is just nuts, and no other laptop will beat it out there. 100%, if you want long-lasting battery life, this is the laptop for you. Alright guys, that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Like I said in the beginning, all we do on this channel is talk about tech and lifestyle, so if that's the kind of content you enjoy, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, if you enjoyed the video, give it a like. It helps boost the videos, it helps boost the channel. Also, comment down below what you want to see in the next video, what you want me to talk about. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. As always, peace, guys. See ya.